I'm getting ready to do some reverse band deadlifting. It's a variation that I like to work in when I'm working up to a max. Helps me work through sticking points while still utilizing a full range of motion deadlift. The idea here is very similar to other accommodating resistance options like chains or pulling into bands, but rather than actually adding weight via chain or resistance, we're actually pulling up on the bar, right? And the actual weight on the bar is what ends up in our hands. But I want to show you how to set up properly. I see every once in a while I see somebody at the gym trying to do this and fumble around. And what I've done here, I like to use my safety pins to just drape my bands over, because when you tie them in a knot, then you're going to have varying tension on each band, right? Because you're not going to get the same exact loop or length of the band hanging down by actually tying them on. So if we drape them over, they're the same length. What I like to do is set up so that when I'm at lockout, band tension is off, right? As it gets heavier, naturally I'm going to be pulled down a little bit. There will be a little bit of tautness. But the idea is that at lockout you want all that band tension off. Okay, so how do you tell how much tension is actually being pulled off of the ground with bands? And this is another reason I like this method, because we can measure this fairly precisely within a few pounds. Unlike pulling into bands, it's all a guess, right? With chains, unless all the chain comes off the ground, it's a little bit of a guess how much weight is in the hands. At the top, this I can tell you exactly how much weight is going to be at the top when the bands are slack, and how much I'm coming off, what my tension off the floor is. So the best way to do this, I found, rather than trying to load one side and have it sink down, put your J-hooks just back here, set your bar on those J-hooks, then load both sides evenly. Right, doing this actually makes it look like you know what you're doing. You're not fumbling around. And then we'll just pull it off. And the idea here is you want band tension until it just touches the ground. I actually got to move my bumpers here. And what I'm shooting for here today, make sure one other thing you want to do here, just make sure that your bands are in the same position on either side of the bar. So again, what we're looking for here is just for the plates to touch, and I'm looking for about 140 to 150 pounds off the floor. I'm shooting for between 15 and 25% off the floor, 15-20% of my top set. Now I'm shooting for 800 today. I don't know if that math actually works out, but 150 is what I'm shooting for. So this is 135. Now all I really have are 2.5s and some other plates. With all of this is about 2.5 as well. I don't know if I'm going to quite get there. So I'm adding about 10 pounds. This is actually exactly 10 pounds. Spur on my bar. Well, that's not going to go all the way, but there we go. And you can see that's just touching the ground on this side. We may have a little bit of uneven band tension that's going to happen. I'm going to call this 145. It might be a little touch more on this side, right? But you can see I'm barely touching it. It's coming off the floor. So we'll call this 145. It may be 147 if I put a little bit more weight. This particular coupler here is 1.5 pounds, and there we are. So we're 145, 147, something like that. Close enough. You don't have to be precise, but then you know. And that's how you set up reverse band and actually look like you know what you're doing. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask.